The rain came down hard on Lagos Island that Tuesday morning. She was already late, running, her second-hand shoes soaking through, her only good blouse sticking to her back. In her hand, one small umbrella, the only thing standing between her and the kind of rain that ruins everything. She had one interview, one chance, the kind you fast and pray for after months of silence and rejection. Then she saw her. An old woman, crouched at the roadside, wrapper soaked, nowhere to go, shaking. Everyone rushing past, umbrellas up, eyes forward, minds already somewhere else. Nobody stopped, nobody even slowed down. The girl looked at her watch, looked at the woman, looked at the road ahead. Then she tucked her interview document under her arm, walked back and held her umbrella over the old woman's head. "Go, my daughter, you will be late." "It's okay, Mama. I have 2 legs. Rain can't stop those." She walked that woman to safety, soaked to her skin, hair finished, blouse destroyed. She missed her interview, and she had no idea, not even a little idea, who that woman really was. Welcome to Bola's Folktales. I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time, please subscribe and turn on notifications. I drop stories like this every week and you don't want to miss them. Now, let's go. Have you ever done something kind and it cost you everything? Not small kindness, the kind that cost you the very thing you needed most, the thing you had been praying for, fighting for, holding on for. Because that is exactly what happened to this girl. She came to Lagos with nothing but hope and a folded CV. No connections, no uncle in the right place, no backup plan. Just a dream she was gripping with both hands and refusing to let go. She had been rejected so many times she stopped counting at 8. Her rent was overdue. Her mother was sick back home in Edo State and called every other day asking, "Any good news?" That morning, she finally had something. A real interview, a serious company, a real shot. She gave it up for a stranger, for an old man nobody else stopped for. What she found out 3 weeks later will change the way you see kindness and the kind of people God is always watching over. Stay with me. The ending of this story, you need to hear it. Her name was Ifeoma, 26 years old. First daughter in a family of 5. She grew up in Oromi, a small, honest town in Edo State, where her father drove a commercial bus and her mother sold boiled groundnuts at the motor park. They were not the kind of poor that destroys people. They were the kind that teaches you to stretch everything. 1 bag of rice, 3 meals. 1 pair of school shoes, 3 years of wearing them. But they were rich in one thing. Belief. Ifeoma graduated from the University of Benin with a second-class upper in business administration. The whole street celebrated. Her father killed a chicken. Her mother cried into her wrapper so hard she had to sit down. Neighbors came with envelopes. Everyone said the same thing. That Ifeoma, she has head, she will make it. She arrived in Lagos 9 months ago with a Ghana must-go bag, her certificate rolled inside a plastic sleeve, and 35,000 naira her father pressed into her palm at the motor park. His hands were rough. He held hers for a second longer than usual. "Don't come back without something," he said. Not to be harsh, just because it was true. She had not gone back. Not because things were going well, because she was ashamed. 9 months, 12 interviews, 12 rejections. The reasons came dressed in different language: overqualified, underqualified, no experience, position already filled, but they all meant the same thing. No, not you. Try somewhere else. She was living in one room in a saleko with 2 other girls, a ceiling fan that only worked if you hit it from the side, and a gas cooker with 1 burner that worked and 1 that had given up. They split the rent 3 ways, 12,000 naira each, and cooked together to cut costs. Most evenings it was rice and stew. Some evenings it was just rice and they called it enough. Her 35,000 had become 9, then 4, Then she had borrowed 2,000 from her roommate, Shadi, for transport. She was 1 month behind on her phone bill. She owed her landlord half the rent. And every time her mother called, she said, "Things are moving, Mama," because the real answer was too heavy. The real answer was she was almost finished. Her father's boss had developed an engine fault. The mechanic said 80,000 naira minimum, 80,000 they did not have. Her younger brother Emeka was in SS3, WAEC registration fees were due, and her mother's blood pressure medication was 4,000 naira a month, and last month they had quietly skipped it and prayed nothing happened. Everything falling apart at home needed Ifeoma to hold it together from Lagos. She had held nothing. That Tuesday morning, she was up by 4:45 a.m. The interview was at Triton Investment Group, Broad Street, Lagos Island. 10 a.m. The email had said formal attire required. She had ironed her black skirt the night before, going over every fold twice. Her white blouse was borrowed from Sade, clean, stiff, a little too big at the shoulders, but wearable. She polished her cut shoes with a dry cloth, working at them until they caught light. She stood in front of the small mirror nailed to the back of the door. "God," she said quietly, not loudly, just between her and the ceiling. "Just this one, please. Just let this one walk." She left at 7 a.m., 3 full hours, more than enough. But Lagos doesn't care about your margin. The first bus broke down at Costain. Everyone climbed out and stood at the roadside. She waited 20 minutes before a danfo came, already packed, bodies pressed against the door. She squeezed in. An elbow found her ribs somewhere around CMS. She didn't say anything. By 9:15 a.m., she was on the island, 2 bus stops away. The rain was still light, just drizzle, manageable. She checked her watch. 45 minutes. She exhaled for the first time that morning. Then the sky changed its mind. It didn't build gradually. Lagos rain doesn't do that. One moment drizzle, the next the clouds opened. The kind of downpour that turns gutters into rivers, that soaks you through before you've even registered it has started. Ifeoma pulled out her umbrella. Small, green, one spoke slightly bent and pushed forward. Around her, the street scrambled. Okada riders pulled under bus stops. Market women grabbed their goods. A man in a suit started running. Everyone moved fast. Everyone looking out for themselves only. She was walking with her head down, focused on the road ahead, when she saw her. The old woman was sitting on the pavement beside a locked shop, back pressed to the wall. Her wrapper, dark Ankara, the kind grandmothers wear, was soaked through. She had no umbrella, no covering. A nylon bag sat between her feet, the handle stretched from weight. She wasn't crying, wasn't calling out to anyone. She was just sitting completely still, the way someone sits when they've accepted that the rain has beaten them. Ifeoma walked past her. 3 steps ahead, she stopped. She stood there for 1 second, 2, and then she turned back. The old woman looked up. Her face was deeply lined, her eyes calm and tired in equal measure. The look of someone who had seen enough of life not to be easily disturbed by it, but who was quietly exhausted all the same. "Mama, are you okay? Do you have someone coming?" "I'm managing my daughter. You go. You're in a hurry, I can see." "Where are you going?" "Namdi Street. My son was supposed to come, but I can't reach him. His phone is not going through. I'll wait for the rain to reduce." Ifeoma checked her watch. 9:28 a.m. Namdi Street was behind her, opposite direction, maybe 7 or 8 minutes at normal walking pace. Her interview was at 10. She had time. Barely. If the old woman could move at a reasonable pace. She looked at the rain. She looked at the woman. She thought, briefly, honestly, about the interview, about the iron skirt, about her father's boss sitting broken in Uromi, about Emeka's WAEC fees, about the 2,000 naira she had borrowed from Shadi. She thought about all of it. And then she picked up the old woman's nylon bag. "Come, Mama, I'll take you. Your clothes, they'll dry." They walked together. Ifeoma held the umbrella over the old woman, which meant she herself was half in the rain the entire way. The woman moved carefully, leaning on a short wooden stick, and Ifeoma matched her pace without saying anything about it. She didn't rush her. She didn't check her watch every 30 seconds, though she felt each minute passing like something dropping through her chest. 9:35, 9:41, 9:49. They reached a green gate on Namdi Street. The old woman knocked twice. A young man opened it, saw his grandmother standing in the rain with a soaking wet stranger holding a bag and an umbrella over her head, and started apologizing immediately. His phone had died. He hadn't known she had already left the house. The old woman waved him quiet. She turned to Ifeoma and took both her hands. She held them the way older women hold the hands of younger ones when they want the younger one to really hear what comes next. "What is your name?" "Ifeoma." She looked at her, not quickly, the way you look at something you are committing to memory. "Ifeoma, God sees you. Don't ever stop being who you are." Simple, no drama. She said it the way people say things they mean completely. Then she went inside. Ifeoma stood at the gate for 2 seconds. Then she ran. 9:52 a.m. She ran 4 blocks in cut shoes filling with rainwater, her blouse soaked transparent, her documents soft at the edges where the rain had found them under her arm. She ran the way you run when you know you're probably already too late, but you cannot let yourself believe it yet. She reached the building on Broad Street at 10:11 a.m. The receptionist looked at her, wet, breathing hard, clutching damp papers, checked the list, and looked back up with the expression people wear when they know they're about to say something you don't want to hear. "Ifeoma Osagi, your slot was 10 a.m. The panel closed at 10:05. I'm very sorry, ma. It's company policy." Ifeoma stood there for a moment. Then she thanked the woman. She didn't know why she said it, it just came out, and walked back outside into the rain. She didn't run this time. There was nowhere to run to. She found a covered bus stop 2 streets away and sat on the bench inside it. Around her, Lagos continued. Okada splashing through, a conductor shouting at someone, a woman balancing a tray of plantain chips on her head, steady as ever. The city had absolutely no interest in her situation. She looked down at the soggy documents in her hands. 12 interviews. 12 times she had prepared, prayed, pressed her clothes the night before, and gone out there. And the one morning she finally had a real shot at something, she had used her time to walk an old woman through the rain. She sat with that for a long time. Her phone rang. Her mother. She stared at the screen through 2 full rings, then picked up. "Ifeoma, today na the interview day, abi?" "Yes, Mama." "How did it go?" "A bit. It didn't work out." Her mother went quiet. "What happened?" Ifeoma almost told her the truth. She opened her mouth, and for a moment she genuinely considered it. "Mama, I saw an old woman sitting in the rain, and I stopped. I walked her home. I chose her over the interview." She almost said it. "They had already filled the position," she said instead. "Ah." Her mother exhaled slowly. The sound of someone who has been exhaling slowly for 9 months. "Okay, don't give up. Keep pushing." After the call, Ifeoma sat very still for a long time. The rain was still going. A damper splashed past and sprayed water close to her feet. She moved them without looking up. She was not angry. She kept waiting for it, the anger at herself, the regret, the voice that would say, "You fool, look what you did." But it didn't come. What came instead was something quieter, a strange, inconvenient peace. She had made the choice she had made. She could not unmake it. And underneath all the loss, the rent, the money she'd borrowed, the family waiting on her, she knew she had not been wrong. Knowing you weren't wrong
and knowing what to do next are two very different things. She eventually took it down for home. Standing room, as always. She didn't notice the elbows this time. Shade was home when she walked in. She took one look at Ifeoma, the destroyed blouse, the flat eyes, the way she moved like someone whose battery was at 2%, and didn't ask any questions. She just shifted her bag off the chair. Ifeoma told her everything. The woman, the nylon bag, the walk, the gait, the receptionist's face. She said it all in a steady voice like she was reading from a paper. When she finished, Shade looked at her for a moment. "You are not okay," Shade said. "I'm fine. I mean, you are not a normal person. A normal person would not have stopped." She paused. "I'm not even sure I would have stopped."
She changed out of the wet clothes, hung the blouse up carefully to dry. Shade would need it back, and lay down on her side of the mattress. She stared at the water stain on the ceiling, the one shaped like a boot that had been there since they moved in. She traced it with her eyes until she fell asleep. This story is just getting started, and if it's already hitting you somewhere deep, do one thing right now. Like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. 3 weeks passed. She applied for 5 more roles, got 3 auto replies and silence from the other 2. She sold her casual flats to a girl 2 compounds away for 1,500 naira and used the money across 3 days of transport. She had begun, privately, to think about going home. Not forever, she kept telling herself that. Just for a little while, to rest, to see her mother's face, to eat a proper meal and sleep without the ceiling fan making that grinding sound. But she knew what going home really meant. It meant the chapter had closed, and chapters that close in Lagos are very hard to reopen. 22 days after the rain, a Thursday, Ifeoma was sitting outside their room splitting open sachets of pure water to fill their jerry can. The estate water had been cut, and sachets were cheaper than buying in bulk. When her phone rang, unknown number. She almost didn't pick. Unknown numbers in Lagos are usually either network people or someone trying to tell you that you've won a prize you never entered for. But something made her answer. "Good afternoon. Please, am I speaking with Ifeoma Osagi?" "Yes, who is this?" "My name is Chidinma. I'm calling from the office of Mrs. Ngozi Okonko Briggs. She would like to meet with you. Tomorrow, if you're free, 11 a.m. Ifeoma stood up slowly. "I'm sorry, who?" "Mrs. Ngozi Okonko Briggs. She said you would know her." I don't think I do, actually. Can I ask what this is about?" A brief pause on the line. "She said to tell you the green umbrella." The sachet water fell from Ifeoma's hands. She swallowed. "Sorry, say that again." "The green umbrella. She said you would understand." Ifeoma stood in the middle of the compound with the phone at her ear and said nothing for 3 full seconds. The green umbrella, the bent spoke, the old woman with the nylon bag sitting beside the locked shop in the rain. "Yes," she said finally. "I'll be there." She didn't tell Shade that evening. She couldn't explain what she didn't yet understand herself. She just ironed the black skirt again, borrowed the white blouse again, polished the shoes again, lay down, and did not sleep until almost 3 a.m. The address Chidinma had sent was on Adeola Odeku Street, Victoria Island. Ifeoma arrived at 10:38 a.m. She was not going to be late again. The building was glass and steel, 14 floors. A brass plate at the entrance read, AOB Capital Partners. She had seen this building from a downfall window before, looked up at it the way you look at things that belong to a different world. She had never imagined walking through the door. 12th floor. The lift opened into a corridor so quiet she could hear her own footsteps. At the end, a woman in a navy suit knocked twice. "Miss Ifeoma is here, ma'am." "Bring her in." The office had floor-to-ceiling windows. The Lagos lagoon spread out in the afternoon light beyond them, and behind the desk, rising to her feet, was the old woman from the rain. Same face, same calm eyes, but now in a cream agbada with gold trim, her grey hair set, a gold watch on her wrist. Everything about her said, this is what she always was. Ifeoma's legs nearly gave way. Sit down, the voice was warm. I've been looking forward to this. Ifeoma sat, put her hands in her lap, focused on not shaking. You were in the rain? Yes, Mrs. Ngozi smiled, deliberately. She folded her hands on the desk and explained it simply. AOB Capital Partners, 6 African countries, 400 staff. The hardest thing about running it was not the money. Money she knew how to find. The hardest thing was finding people she could trust with it. 3 years ago, I started going out. Before any serious hire, I pick a spot on the candidate's route. Old clothes, nylon bag, no umbrella. I make myself easy to ignore and I watch. Ifeoma felt the understanding arrive slowly, then all at once. That morning, I was out by 8:45 a.m. All 6 of you walked past me between 9 a.m. and 9:59. 5 of you looked. 2 slowed. Nobody stopped. Until you. You were already mourning when I saw you. Already late. You turned back anyway. Mrs. Ngozi tilted her head. Why? Ifeoma thought about it honestly. It didn't feel like a decision. It felt like the only thing I could do and still be myself. Mrs. Ngozi was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded once, slowly, like that answer had confirmed something she already knew. She slid a document across the desk. I'm not offering you the role you came for. Ifeoma's stomach dropped. I'm offering you a place in our 18-month associate program. 4 slots, once a year. You rotate through our portfolio teams, work directly with partners, and come on staff as a full associate at the end. The monthly stipend was printed in bold, 180,000 naira. The most Ifeoma had ever earned was 42,000 at a logistics company that let her go after 4 months. A small envelope followed. Inside, a check, 300,000 naira. Ma, she stopped. I have no investment experience. I've been rejected 12 times. I don't understand. I can teach investment, Mrs. Ngozi said simply. 30 years I have been teaching people portfolios, risk, client management. I am very good at it. She looked at Ifeoma directly. What I cannot teach, what I have never been able to teach, is whatever made you turn back on that road when you had every reason not to. That is not in any curriculum. It either lives in a person or it doesn't. She extended her hand. It lives in you. Welcome to AOB. Ifeoma shook it. She was smiling and pressing her lips together at the same time, the face of someone whose tears want out, but who needs 1 more minute to hold it together. She called her mother from the car park downstairs. She didn't rehearse what she was going to say. She just dialed and waited. Her mother picked up on the second ring. Ifeoma. Mama, what is it? Your voice sounds different. I got something, Mama. Her voice cracked on the last word, just slightly. I got something real. Her mother didn't speak immediately. And then Ifeoma heard it. That sound, the soft collapsing sound of a woman who has been quietly strung on the phone for 9 months, finally letting herself feel something. Thank God, her mother said. Nothing else, just that, over and over, like a prayer that had been waiting to be answered for a long time. Thank God, thank God. The following Saturday, Ifeoma took the night bus home to Romi. 11 hours. Wooden seats, a window with a broken latch that let in cold air the whole journey. She didn't mind any of it. She arrived at the motor park at 6 a.m., tired in the good way, the way that doesn't bother you because your heart is full. She paid for her father's bus repairs, all 80,000 naira in cash at the mechanics. She stood there while the man counted it. Her father didn't say anything. He just folded the receipt and put it carefully in his shirt pocket. She cleared Emeka's WAEC registration and bought him a new calculator. His old one had 3 dead buttons. She bought 3 months of her mother's blood pressure medication at once and stocked the kitchen properly. Rice, beans, palm oil, crayfish, tins of tomatoes, stockfish, the kind of stocking that says you don't have to worry for a while. Her mother made pepper soup that night. The smell filled the whole house. They sat in the parlor together, her parents, Emeka, her 2 younger sisters, and ate and talked about nothing important. Nobody brought up the 9 months. Nobody needed to. When she was leaving the next morning, her father walked with her to the motor park. He was a quiet man, not cold, just the kind of man who stored what he felt rather than spending it on words. At the park, he held her, longer than he'd ever held her before, long enough that people walking past looked over. "Papa, I have to go. The boss." "Let it wait small." She let it wait. When he finally stepped back, he straightened her collar the way he used to when she was in secondary school uniform. He looked at her face. "You have not failed us," he said. "You never did, even when we didn't know it yet." She got on the bus. She sat by the window. She watched Romy disappear behind her and did not wipe her face until the town was fully out of sight. She started the program the first Monday of the following month. She was the youngest of the 4 associates by 3 years and the only one without prior finance experience. The other 3 had MBAs. One had worked at a bank for 4 years already. She worked harder than she had worked for anything in her life. Not out of fear, out of gratitude, the kind that turns into fuel. She understood exactly what had put her in that room, and it wasn't her certificate or her grades. It was a rainy Tuesday morning, and one decision she almost didn't make. She was not going to waste it. At the end of 18 months, she was ranked the top associate in her cohort. She came on staff. 2 years after that, she was managing her own small portfolio. 4 years later, she was presenting to institutional clients on a conference room on the 12th floor, the same floor she had first walked onto trembling, trying to stop her hands from shaking. Mrs. Ngozi never made a fuss of it. She was not that kind of mentor. She watched from the right distance, offered a word when it was needed, and trusted Ifeoma to figure out the rest herself, which, slowly and surely, she did. 6 years after that rainy Tuesday, Ifeoma was walking to a breakfast meeting on Lagos Island, unhurried, familiar with this part of the city in the way you become familiar with the streets that raised you professionally, when she saw a young woman standing outside a building in the light morning drizzle. She was in her mid-20s, well-dressed, but the kind of well-dressed that had been carefully assembled the night before and then wrecked slightly by the rain. She was staring at her phone with the expression of someone whose morning had completely come apart. Ifeoma stopped. "Are you all right?" The young woman looked up. Her eyes were tight, the eyes of someone trying very hard not to cry in public. "I had an interview at 9 a.m. I took the wrong bus on the island, I got confused, and by the time I found the right building, they'd already closed the session." Ifeoma looked at her watch. She had a meeting in 11 minutes. "Which company?" "Heartland Logistics, 3rd floor." Ifeoma knew the building. She knew the woman who ran HR there. They had sat on a panel together twice. "Come," she said, "let's go up." She took her inside, went directly to the HR office, had a brief, quiet conversation, and had the young woman's interview rescheduled to a later slot that morning. She did not give her name. She did not explain who she knew or how she knew anyone. She just made sure it happened. Then she left for her meeting. She was 8 minutes late. Nobody mentioned it. But she thought about it for the rest of that day. About an old woman sitting in the rain beside a locked shop. About 5 people who walked past. About herself already running and already late, stopping anyway for a reason she couldn't fully articulate then and still couldn't now.
except that it had simply felt like the only thing to do. She thought about how one morning, one small, soaking, ordinary morning, had quietly rerouted everything. The real test does not arrive with a calendar invite. It does not have a panel of judges or a marking scheme. It comes when you are already stretched, when you are already exhausted, when you are holding something fragile and cannot afford to drop it. It comes as an old woman in the rain. It comes as the thing you cannot easily give, asked of you at exactly the wrong moment. And in that moment, there are two paths. You can keep moving toward your goal and you would be forgiven. Nobody would blame you. Nobody would even know. Or you can stop. Not because a reward is guaranteed, not because anyone important is watching, but because of who you are. Because there are things that must be done even when they cost you, especially when they cost you. The person you stop for may have nothing to give back. She may just be a tired old woman who needed help getting home in the rain. But you will have shown yourself and shown God, if you believe in that, what you are made of when no one is keeping score. And that is not a small thing. That is everything. Because your character is not what you are when life is easy. It is what you are when you are already late, already broke, already out of options, and someone needs the one thing you are saving for yourself. Stop. Give it. Be the person who turns back. You may never know what that moment opens, but you will know who you are. And who you are, that is the thing that determines every door that eventually opens for you. Choose to stop. Choose to give, even when it costs you, especially when it costs you. Thank you for staying until the very end. I hope something in Ifeoma's story stayed with you. What was the part that hit you hardest? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this story moved you, share it with one person today. Subscribe to Bola's Folktales, turn on your notifications, and come back next week. There's always another story worth telling. God bless you. I'll see you soon.